So we are preparing for Hurricane Lee. The hurricane is supposed to drop down to just a tropical storm by the time it hits us, but we want to make sure that everything's strapped down and nothing's gonna fly away. Oh God, bumpy. One second.
We'll be off the bumpy road in a moment.
But it's still predicting to be at least somewhere in like the 30-mile-an-hour wind range. So there's some things on our homestead that need to get put away, and we need to make sure that our roof doesn't fly off. I'll show you that in a minute. So we're just gonna go get some straps and some other supplies that we need to prepare. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. The roof has lost a panel on the right side, so that means that the peak is just kind of flapping around. Our roof was never constructed in with all the components. It doesn't have the flashing. It's kind of vulnerable to wind, so we are trying to find a way to make sure that that ridge cap doesn't fly off. If we're going to get 30-mile-an-hour winds or higher, we need to do a little bit better of a job. So the whole roof is just these metal panels. And Ben is up there trying to secure the lattice on the outside of the upper deck. This is what's holding the plastic on, and that's basically what's making sure that our deck doesn't get completely soaked. Because when that wasn't there, the rain would just come in and everything on the deck would get all soaked. Including the deck itself, which is starting to rot a little bit, so we're trying to prolong the amount of time that we can use these decks before we have to replace them completely. We got the old tarp down, and now we're installing the new one.
Okay. All right.
So now we just have to match the peak of the roof by folding over the excess so that we still end up with a right angle at the bottom, because these tarps are rectangles and we're trying to match it to the triangular roof.
All right, that's the new tarp installed. Hopefully that'll keep all the rain out and keep all of our stuff dry and in place. That is a deeply pleasant noise.
Clicky, clicky, clicky. Now we have to figure out how to get that strap all the way up there without breaking any windows. Ben has an idea.
Are you making fun of me?
I'm not making fun of you. I was explaining the situation. I said you have an idea. Because you have an idea, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna have you figure it out. That's my idea.
Well, I guess we're screwed. So the idea is to use our snow scraper to lift the strap up over top. So I will be feeding Ben the slack while he uses the other end to lift it up over top.
So yeah, head that way with this now.
Okay. We attached a 2x4 to the eave under the roof line here, and we have a little carabiner that we're using as a loop so that we can put the strap through and hook onto it like that.
Okay, now let's go on the other side and tighten this up.
Yeah. So I'll slowly feed you the slack.
Thank you.
Make sure it doesn't get looped around.
Son of a... The strap has already filled up the space available for ratchet.
So the strap is too long, so we're gonna have to cut the strap shorter, which kind of sucks because it means we paid for a strap that we didn't need, but at least we didn't have not enough strap. And then we're just gonna melt the end so that it doesn't fray. Is this how you thought you'd spend your Friday night?
I mean, pretty much.
Melting nylon strap to
Well,
hold
I mean,
your
not
roof
that
on?
specifically, but I figured we'd be pretty much working on getting this place ready all day.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Is this how you ever thought you'd spend a Friday night?
Until we have this place, no, not a chance.
We have attached the strap, and I'm hoping that it's going to do its job. If we need to tighten it more, we can. I was trying not to damage this ridge cap to where we have to replace it. I mean, eventually, obviously, we have to replace it, but if we can make it through this winter without having to replace it, that would be ideal. So this is what we got for now. And there's a tired Benjamin. The aftermath of the storm, there was one maple on the road that fell down, so Ben cut it with his chainsaw and we drug it over here. We'll be using it as firewood. We did not have any trees fall on any of our structures, which is excellent. The tarp made it perfectly fine. No tears. Everything's looking good. So it was predicted that we would get about 2 inches of rain. Judging by what we've gotten before, I would say that was a pretty accurate estimate. So we do have a little bit of flooding on our road. This was one of my favorite trees, and unfortunately it came down in a storm. But this tree, you could tell, was very old. It grew in a very interesting way. At least it didn't hurt anyone when it came down. The wind was much less intense than what it was supposed to be, which is great. And all of our animals are safe and doing well. We're getting a lot of water into the pond, so the ducks are gonna really love that. This is the duck hut that I made for the drake and the broody mom. We took this door while the storm was bad. And just locked the drake in so that he couldn't get out and get hit by a tree or whatever. My bumblebee cherry tomato plant did well. We used some cover fabric to keep the branches from snapping. And it's starting to ripen already. Pepper plants doing just fine. We've got our squash and our tomatoes. Tomato plants are just about at the end of their life anyway, but we're waiting for all these tomatoes to turn red. And here's all that ground cover clover that I left in this onion bed. And it's just taken over, which is excellent. The asparagus made it. We had some cover fabric on the asparagus to keep these ferns from snapping, and it worked out very well. And we're still getting asparagus spears. Lots of tomatoes to be harvested. And that's not even counting the probably 15 pounds of tomatoes that I have inside the cabin. Oh, this corn looks like it snapped, but that's okay. I think it's ready anyway. So we can just harvest this. I'll come by and clip it. Delicata squash is doing good. We have all these tomatoes over here. We came in here on Friday and harvested everything that was even slightly blushing, and now we're getting more coming ready. Our potatoes did just fine. They're actually looking like they're going to be ready soon. Once the leaves start yellowing and dying back, that's when you know it's ready. I'm going to wait until these beds, or these planters, dry out a little bit. There are weep holes on the bottom, because you don't want to harvest potatoes while they're wet. Our strawberry doesn't know what time of year it is, and it's putting out new flowers, so we might even get more strawberries before it's all said and done. Yeah, not too bad. On the side of our cabin is a large cedar tree. It is very close to the cabin, and it's also leaning. And it's massive and heavy. So we're having it removed today. It leans toward the cabin quite a bit. So I've been stripping the bark because this tree is going to be taken down anyway, and I'm collecting it to make some cordage. Because of the angle of the tree and how close it is to the roof line, we're having a professional come in with a cherry picker to take this down one piece at a time. The person coming out is just going to be taking off all the limbs and then taking this tree down one piece at a time. Our plan for the wood is to create some cedar shakes or shingles and use those as siding for our cabin. So the tree is down. We have quite a bit of wood here to make some shingles. This is going to be great. There's a little bit of rotting in the core, but really it's not too bad. The diameter of this log is wide enough that rotting is not going to make a problem for us, which is great. And when you make shingles from a log, the center gets wasted anyway because that thin wedge isn't useful. You're going to be trimming that off anyway. This will probably be a little issue here. We might lose a few on this side. So we have quite a bit here. Okay, Blackberry, you're not going to get me again.